I got my business I want to show you. My new shoes that I dropped called Moto is handcrafted in Italy, made with the finest material and leather from Italy, shipped from Italy. Get you a pair. Oh yeah, you could get you a pair at aberdeenmoto.luxuryitalian.shoes. They always have to warn you before it happens, in some kind of way. Whether they're telling you about it, not coming straight out and telling you about it, but in a roundabout way. Whether they're putting it in movies, talking about it on interviews, talk shows, or whatever. Do we need to take more heed to things that these politicians and celebrities say that seems kind of far-fetched? Do we need to change our way of thinking? Certain things that we need to pay attention to that we don't. We put our focus in the mindless things that does not hold any value, that will not do anything for us in the present or in the future. So just check out these little video clips here I found of the warning that we got prior to the pandemic in 2020, as early as 15 years prior. Yeah, check it out.
So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment. And we're further along to be able to catch it, work together, and get the job done. I cannot think of a better example of an area where we should all agree than passing this emergency funding to fight Ebola and to set up some of the public health infrastructure that we need to deal with potential outbreaks in the future. Some people wrap their arms around you, some people stand 10 feet away. This disease is not just a test of our health systems, it is a test of our character as a nation.
Today I've come to talk about our nation's efforts to address this vital issue to the health and the safety of all Americans. I'm here to discuss our strategy to prevent and protect the American people from a possible outbreak.
It's made perfectly clear that our number one priority is, in the event of a pandemic, is to save lives. The President has a plan to do just that.
First, we must detect outbreaks that occur anywhere in the world. Second, we must protect the American people by stockpiling vaccines and antiviral drugs and improve our ability to rapidly produce new vaccines against a pandemic strain.
We need to have a surveillance plan that allows us to identify when an incident has occurred in the world. The sooner we know, the more quickly and more adequately we can respond.
We thought it would be irresponsible not to take on the pandemic planning effort to make sure that whenever it is, under whatever president's watch, that as a nation we're better prepared, because it's the right thing to do. It can't be avoided.
A pandemic is unlike other natural disasters. Outbreaks can happen simultaneously in hundreds or even thousands of locations at the same time. And unlike storms or floods, which strike in an instant and then recede, a pandemic can continue spreading destruction in repeated waves that can last for a year or more. And one day, many lives could be needlessly lost because we failed to act today.
The World Bank estimates that if we have a worldwide flu epidemic, global wealth will go down by over $3 trillion, and we'd have millions and millions of deaths. These investments offer significant benefits beyond just being ready for the epidemic. The primary health care, the R&D, those things would reduce global health equity and make the world more just as well as more safe. So I think this should absolutely be a priority. There's no need to panic. We don't have to hoard cans of spaghetti or go down into the basement, but we need to get going because time is not on our side. In fact, if there's one positive thing that can come out of the Ebola epidemic, it's that it can serve as an early warning, a wake-up call to get ready.
6,000 people a year just routinely. It's the third kind of flu virus, which is the in-between of those two that we worry about. It's when a virus changes, mutates from the bird virus to the human virus. That's when we see a pandemic or a worldwide epidemic. And that's what we worry about. But what makes for a pandemic is when it mutates even more, and now a human-to-human transmits it. The birds become incidental.
Okay, and so would any shot do?
No.
No.
That's the problem. Influenza viruses are very unique. It turns out that, think about every year we tell people to get a flu shot.
Yeah.
Why? Because even the every year flu virus that's in humans basically is because of this mutation problem. This changes enough from year to year that we actually need to get a new flu shot every year because it's changing.
Okay.
Well, when a virus mutates to the point it becomes a new pandemic strain, the bird virus jumps to people and now people can transmit back and forth, that needs a whole new virus vaccine.
What are the chances of this becoming human to human?
Well, first of all, let me just make it real clear. This is not a probability issue. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. What we don't know is which strain it's going to be or when it's going to happen. It could be tonight. It could be 10 years from now. The bottom line is we have a lot to do to get better prepared.
It's going to happen.
And so one of the problems we know we're going to be confronted with is during a pandemic, when we will obviously shut borders. Look what's happening in Turkey right now with just these few cases. People are shutting borders. We will basically see, I believe, a collapse of the global economy as we know it, which means we're going to run out of those things. Things like medical supplies, drugs, masks, whatever.
Right.
And what will you do here at Harpo Productions during a 12 to 18-month pandemic when you have many of the people who will be afraid to come out of their homes, or you may not have workers that want to come to work? That's what we've seen in the past. That's not a historical response. This is the kind of things we have to think about. It's the Katrina mindset before Katrina happens.
Wow. And you're saying it is going to happen.
Well, 1918-like experience is surely a possibility, particularly if it's this bird flu virus, which is a kissing cousin of the 1918 virus, and why we're so concerned.
Well, and one of the lessons of Katrina is about being prepared before it happens instead of panicking in the middle of it.
Remember, the whole world is going to be vulnerable here. A pandemic is not going to just affect one country one time.
You're saying that the issue with the mask is there just won't be enough.
There's two things. There won't be enough, and you need to have the right kind. Just a piece of cloth across your face, as we saw in many of the shots from Asia during the SARS epidemic, will not do that much to protect you. What we need to do is understand how are we going to care for our people? How are we going to get food? The food that we eat today doesn't sit in warehouses somewhere. It literally is produced, moved by ocean freighter, over land trucking, and in your grocery store within days. The milk that comes from the farms today that you drink in the morning actually came from the farm 24 hours before. And so if we interrupt things on a global basis with transportation, we basically have that fear and panic. We have a very
That's
different
why you're saying it's going to shut the world economy down.
Right, and we have to prepare for that, and that's why we have to help citizens understand, what should I stockpile, what shouldn't I? Let's make sure we don't...
Tell me now, tell me.
Everyone should have enough food today so that they could basically be in their homes for 4 or 5 weeks if they needed to be. The area that we're in big trouble on, you can have canned goods, whatever. The area that I worry about most is, frankly, our pharmaceutical supplies. Today, 80% of all the drugs that we take in the United States, the raw ingredients come from offshore.
Okay, so I got my food supply.
You got your food supply?
I don't have my drugs. I got water.
And you want to make sure on water. This is where you want to ask your community here. Go ask the city of Chicago, how much chlorine do they have? Today, many of the cities in this world have no more than 5 to 7 days of chlorine on hand to actually use and purify in that water supply. There isn't going to be anybody there. That's why Secretary Michael Leavitt, the Secretary of Health and Human Services in this country, has said, understand, you will be largely on your own. He's been very honest, he's been very forthright, and it's fair to say that because nobody's going to bring in the cavalry during that time. It won't exist.